This video is brought to you by roadipolis.com. Hello, I am Ignace Aleya from ColoratedCinematics.com, and in this tutorial I will be showing you how to create this. Okay, so what you just saw is what we are going to create today. We are going to use the ink flow pack from roadipolis.com, but for the people that don't want to buy it instantly, Roadipolis decided to give me one of the ink flow 11. We can use that completely for free. A link will be in the description so you can download it and follow along with the tutorial. So you can mess around with it, play a little with the ink effect, and then you can decide to buy it if you want to use it for more projects. And I really like the ink flow pack. It's it gives you really cool effects, especially for motion graphics work, and you can mix it up. You don't have to use it in a ink effect manner. You can change it up like I did a little in this tutorial. So we will start off the tutorial, and it will be very easy. So for each for everyone that just started out, don't worry, you will be able to follow along. It's a very simple tutorial. So first thing we want to do is import our ink flow 11 in After Effects, and hopefully you know how to do that because I already did, but it's so simple that I didn't even want to show you guys. Okay, so composition settings, we want to create a new composition. Excuse me, just got a message. I'm going to check that and I'll be right back with you guys. Okay, so the composition name, you can just do ink flow. Okay, there we go. And then what we want to do is go for a full HD composition. The ink flow pack is completely in 4K, by the way, so we can use like some extra resolution in this composition, which is really great. Okay, so we have the frame rate. We can set that to 24, and we'll change the seconds to like 10 seconds or so. It's just for an example. Change that to 10 seconds, and a background color of black sounds fair to me, and click OK. So now we have our first composition, and we want to import that ink flow 11. So let's do that, and right away you'll see you will be able to drag it around like I am here, because it's a 4K element, so we can scale it down or we can leave it at 100%, and then we can use it like to zoom in spots like this and find a nice composition. So once you have your composition that you want to use, let's do a I'll put this to half so you can follow along a little bit quicker, and then do a ramp preview to see what it actually looks like in motion. So I'll let it go ahead for like 2 seconds or so, and I'll play it back. I'll get a rough idea of how it's going to flow. So let's play that back, and right away I can see that it's going pretty quickly. Well, it's okay. For some people it might be just okay, but I just want to give you a note that it's also shot in 60 frames per second. What that means is that you can slow it up to 50% without any quality loss, so it will be completely flawless. Well, it will be very smooth if you change it to a slower speed. So what you have to do to make it slower is there's just one way to do it correctly, and that's by right-clicking on your footage, going to Interpret Footage Main, and right over here you get this window popped up, and you can see that it's at 60 frames per second right now, well, roughly. You can change that to 24, and that's well, it's going to take longer to show the ink flow. So instead of 60 frames per second, it's only going to show 24, which means it's going to be a longer footage clip here, and it's in complete slow motion. Like I'll do a new ramp review so you can see what I mean, for those people that don't understand quite what I'm saying. So let's do it for 2 seconds again and preview that, and now you can see it's taking a lot longer to animate, and I really like slow motion because it gives that like cinematic look to your intro. I really do love slow motion. It gives something like epic to that whole intro. So now what we want to do is, once we have our ink flow aligned like we want it for the composition, we'll have to invert it. So all the whites should be black and all the blacks should be white. That way we can change it up to a fiery color. So let's do that. And for doing that, we go to Effects, Channel, Invert. And now we have our ink effects like this. And next we want to do is we want to add a background. So we go to Layer, New, Solid, and we'll change take a black, almost black background. So not completely black, just almost black. So then it's going to take some of the colors that we'll use later on. You'll see what I mean. So we can change that to BG from name and click OK. Now drag this to the bottom, so we have our ink flow here, and then BG. We want to change the ink flow 11, the blending mode, we want to change it to add. If you don't see the mode here, toggle the switches, just click here, and then it will, just add a mode of additive, and that's going to take away the black, so you'll see the background behind that like we did. Now you can see that it's not completely black, it's that dark red, almost brownish color. So once we have that, we can right click here or go to Layer and click New Adjustment Layer. So now we want to add some colors to our ink and give it that fiery color look. So let's do that by hitting the return key on the keyboard. You can rename your adjustment layer, and I'll add name it colors. And okay, press enter. Then what I want to do is go to Effect, and we are going to use an effect called Colorama. So by going to Color Correction, Colorama, you get this like messed up look, but actually Colorama is a very powerful tool for colors, and we will fix that right away. So for people that don't want these clown colors, we can go to this output cycle and we can use a preset right away, so we don't have to change much here. You can just click here and click fire, and now we have our ink in fire. So it's that easy. What you could do is mess around with these colors, change it up a little if you want to, if you have the need to do that. You can see you can change a few things right here. Maybe take a little bit faster to get darker, and that's completely up to you. So maybe a little bit less whites, like so. Well, a little bit more, but yeah, you just play around a little until you have the fire that you desire. That rhymes. Okay, so we have Colorama enabled. Now we want to add some glow, because fire really gives some light, so we want to add some glow to our color here. So go to Effect, go to Stylize, Glow. And this is way too much at first, so we want to change the intensity to 0.1 and just leave the radius at 10. So now that's going to do a very subtle glow to our fire, but we also need a bigger glow which actually illuminates the place, for example. So we want to duplicate our glow by going to Edit, Duplicate, and then we can change the radius like a lot higher, and also change the intensity to like 0.5. And we'll see right away what it will do. So if we make it larger like this, you can see it illuminates the place and makes it a little bit more realistic. I'll change it back to 0.4. 0.5 is a little bit too intense for me. Even 0.3 is a little bit better. Don't overdo it. So yeah, now we have our fire. I also find that my fire is way too saturated. I want to get it to like feel more cinematic, so I'll desaturate it a bit by going to Color Correction and click on the thing on the tint and change it to like 30% or so. And now we can see that it's a little bit more desaturated, and I think this looks a lot cooler. For you guys that don't want to use fire, for example, you can go to Effect, go to Color Correction, and choose Hue and Saturation, and you can switch around the colors if you want to, like this. You can look at all the options. For some colors you will see that the colors are getting messed up. You can click Colorize and also play with this way, and this way you only get one color. You could also play with the curves tool, so you can go to Color Correction, curves, and also play with the colors here. So maybe add a little bit more blue in the highs, like so. Maybe want less reds in the darks, I don't know. It all depends on what you want, so you can just play around with everything. I'm showing you a little bit different options so you can try it yourself, so you can see what this does. Actually, I like this one, but I'll put the tint behind this so it's getting, or maybe I'll take this tint and leave it up here, duplicate it, and then put it over here and like 10%, because I think it was a little bit too saturated. So okay, I like this style, this looks pretty good, but we are in a 8-bit color space, so I'll change this to 16 by holding Alt and clicking once, and that's going to help a little bit with the background here. One more thing we want to do is add a very subtle noise, so we can clear up the background a little bit, give it a little bit more life. So we can add a noise and change it to like 0.5, I guess will be fine. Okay, so that's perfect. And you can right away, you can see right here, you see these lines of your gradient going over, and if you enable just a little bit noise, you can see that that disappears completely. So a very nice trick to resolve that issue. Maybe even lower 0.3. Don't exaggerate your noise effect. 0.4 will be fine. Okay, so if I change this back to full res, I can see that this will be my results. Okay, so so far we are so good, and we have this result. After the sponsor ad, I'll be talking about the text and how to animate the text, and some more cool stuff to do with this ink effect flow pack. Yeah. Okay, so be right back. If you're looking to enhance your video, you should check out rodypolis.com. It's a great website for visual effects artists, motion graphics artists, and filmmakers in general. I use it myself, and if you buy something from their website, you can use the code TOLERATED and you will get 10% off. So be sure to check out their website. They have lens flares, inked effects packs, also 3D models and stuff like that. So be sure to check out our website, and let's go to the tutorial again. Okay, so we are back here, and let's preview what we have so far. So looking pretty cool. Didn't render it out quite a lot, but yeah, just for an example, you can see this looks very cool, and as you can see, it's very simple to achieve. The only thing you have to do is add an ink effect flow, invert it, and then just play around with the colors. So it's that easy. We'll change it back to half or third is maybe even a little bit faster. Okay, so let's keep it at that, and now we want to add some text. So to add our text, I'm going to click on my text tool, press here, and I'll add tolerated. And okay, so I'll select my complete text, and I'm going to change it to Baron New, so one of the fonts that I use, and I like it. Yeah, some people might not, so just find a font that looks pretty fittable, that suits the kind of effect. So it's really up to you. You don't have to follow along with the font. Then you can change the color to like something very subtle orange, and click OK. And if you take your text layer and you put it below your adjustment layer, you'll see it's going to take over these effects that we applied to the ink effect flow, and now it's going to like fit in more nicely. So we want to change it a little bit darker here, the color of the text, and we can see how everything yeah, just affects the text differently. So maybe not too much, something, yeah, okay, I'll just keep it at this first for now. And I'll center my text by going to the Align tab. If you don't see the Align tab, you can go to Window, Align, and then we will center this to our composition. So right here, like this. We'll make it a little bit smaller, like so, and maybe give it some more space. Okay, there we go. And maybe a little bit more up. There we go. Okay, so we have tolerated right here. One thing we want to do is animate it in, and the way I did it in the preview that you saw is just by simply going to Effect, Then we did a blur, so blur and shorten. I did a fast blur or a camera lens blur. Camera lens blur looks a lot nicer than fast blur, but it slows down your machine quite a lot, so I'll just use it right now. So for an example, to see the difference, we'll change, we'll also add a blur here. Maybe on text you don't see a big difference. No. Okay, I'll just use the fast blur. The camera lens blur is very nice for bokeh effects, so just so you know. Okay, so I'll blur it up like 50% or so. Click on the stopwatch and go ahead for like 3 seconds in time and change it to 0% or maybe 0.5. Very subtle blur, maybe 0.2. Okay, 0.2. And there we go. If we press U on the keyboard, we will see our 2 keyframes right here. And now what we want to do is add some displacement so that it's actually animating in, like the blur isn't really blur but more like smoke. So we want to do that by going to the effect, distort, and choose turbulence displace. There we go. Okay, we want to change the size, yeah, just like how you want to. And then you can play around with the amount, like so. There we go. I will go back in the beginning. And yeah, just play around. Then click on the stopwatch for both of these. So click on the stopwatch and press U again, and then U again. And now you can see all the keyframes for all the effects we have applied so far. And then we go ahead 3 seconds again, right below this keyframe, and then we can change everything to 0. So maybe we can just animate the amount to 0, and maybe we can make this a little bit bigger. So now we can see from small displacements it's going to stop animating to our text. One thing we want to do is animate our displacement, because right now it's just going to displace like this. So to animate our displacement, we can use the evolution tool. And to show this, I'm going to shut off the fast blur for a second here, so you can just follow along with what it does. You can see it's going to change, like, yeah, it's going to change the evolution of your text. So we can zero this out again. Alt click on the stopwatch to add an expression, a very simple expression called time. Well, yeah, just write time times 100 or so, or maybe even 30. Very subtle effect. And then one more thing we want to do is add a easy ease to all our keyframes. So just select all of your keyframes. If you don't see them, press U again. Right click here, keyframe assistant, easy ease, and there we go. And that's going to ease in the effect here, so it's going to slowly get into the animation. So I'll render this out, preview it, and then we'll see what we have to do next to make it even nicer. Okay, so I'll preview it and be right back. Okay, so this is the result so far. One thing we can do is select our 3 keyframes here, make it take longer just a bit, so more towards 4 seconds, and then we can go to the graph editor right here, this icon. If you click this, you'll see that yeah, your keyframes are going to change in a graphic, and what you can do is select these 3 keyframes again and then just drag this out just a little, and what that's going to do is it's going to fade out, and it's going to take longer to fade out, so it's going to be a little bit smoother than it was before. So now we have this. One more thing we can do to the text is animate it going wider, so a little bit of tracking. To do that is click on the text, go to animation, and then go to text animation, animate text right here, and then click tracking. And then we can click in the beginning of our timeline, click a stopwatch for tracking amount, and then click and go back to, like, let's say 7 seconds for now, and change the amount to 2, and then we can make this a little bit longer, towards 8 seconds or so. Well, actually 7 seconds, and right click, trim comp to work area, and there we go. We have our text animating, becoming bigger. I'll preview it once more, and then we'll see what more we can do. And yeah, be right back. Okay, so it's almost rendered, and right now you'll see what subtle things can do to your composition. What I should also suggest is to add some particles if you have any plugins or footage with particles. For this tutorial, I don't have any particles right now, so but let's see how cool this looks. So it's very, very cool. One thing I would change is maybe the displacement at the beginning is a little bit too much. What we forgot to do is click on the T on the keyboard for the opacity and click on opacity and change it over time of 2 seconds or so. Place that keyframe right there, so it's 100% at 2 seconds, and at 0 seconds we want to change it to 0. So now it's going to fade in our text, which will be a little bit better for the result we are looking for. So let's see what that gives us. So play that back. Okay, there we go. I think this is maybe a little bit too fast, so I'll keep it like this. So it's going to be out of frame for a few seconds, a few frames. Then it's going to start animating in with the opacity, and also for these select both keyframes and change the keyframe assistant to easy ease, and that way it's going to be a little bit smoother to animate in. So that's all we have to do with our text. So this is how to create the preview we did for this tutorial. One more thing I'd like to share with you guys is if you duplicate your text, you can also duplicate, for now we'll just use this inked effect flow and position it in between these two texts. It's just a quick tip actually, because somebody asked me how to do something similar to this, so I'll show it in this tutorial. So we can just scale this down and position this like in our text. And now what you can do is right click here, just click on the track matte, toggle switches if you don't see it, and then click here and click alpha matte, and this is going to put our fire in our text. So you can see right here, maybe the color, I'll take this off for a second. We can see it right here. Maybe we should make it smaller. There we go. And also we can change the color correction to we can add some more contrast here. So let's just solo this for a second. Okay, so there we go. We have our fire in our text, and then there's one more thing to do. Change the color of our background text to a more black color. So let's do that first, something like this. Enable the colors again, and now we can see our text like this. So we also want to move a little bit more forward so there's no blur. We can also change back the resolution to full, and there we go. So now our fire is going to be animated in our text. We can also, maybe the curves is a little bit too much. You can also blur the ink flow as well, because right now it's a little bit harsh. So add a subtle blur of like 2, even 5, or even 15. Okay, maybe this is a little bit better. And now you can create something similar to this. It's just a quick tip. I don't know if you want to use it or not. It's just somebody asked me how to put something similar in text or in an object. This is how to do it, pretty easy as well. So the tutorial was more about the other kind of effect. Hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, leave them below in the comments and I'll see what I can do to help out. If you have suggestions for other tutorials, be sure to leave them in the comments as well. And if you like the tutorial, press like, and don't forget to subscribe for more tutorials, because I have some planned out already. See you next time, and goodbye.